In this video, I'll be getting Terraria's Platinum Trophy. Terraria is the 7th most sold video game of all time, but only 8,000 people have ever gotten the Platinum Trophy. Throughout my journey to the Platinum, I'll have to fight crazy and chaotic boss fights, but this isn't even the hardest part. I'll have to take on the 3 hardest grinds in Terraria, which in total took me over 75 hours to complete them. I first opened up Terraria with little to no experience in these type of games. But before we start, if you've never played Terraria before and you get a little confused, gamer girl bathwater? What? Don't worry, because I'll be explaining everything. Make sure you keep an eye out throughout this video. There's some crazy moments you don't want to miss. No! I started out with a tutorial. There, I met the guide, and just speaking to him gave me my first trophy. Yo, I already got a trophy. He taught me some of Terraria's key components, such as building my first house, which to be honest took me over 30 minutes to figure out. And by now, it was nighttime, so I decided to practice my fighting skills on some zombies, which it didn't really end too well. No, man. You can do it? Yo, what is that trophy? Survive your character's first full night? Yo, these trophies are easy, bro. And after not too long, I finished all the quests from the guide, which earned me the trophy Terraria Expert. So that means it's now time to start my own world. But first, I had to create my character. This is when John Appleseed was born, who I'll be playing as all the way until the Platinum Trophy. While starting out my first world, I thought Terraria was basically 2D Minecraft, but that would end up changing by the end of the game. And this may be controversial, but at one point I thought Terraria was better than Minecraft. One of the first things I did in my new world was going down into the caves, and that's when I found a pyramid, a rare structure that has a 16% chance to spawn in the underground desert. But the thing about the pyramid is that it has some really good loot. But unfortunately, I didn't get the luckiest, but I did get some half decent loot. After an hour of mining, I headed back to the surface to start construction on my home. The design I was going for was that the first floor was going to be the entrance, second floor was going to be the storage room, and the third floor was going to be the crafting room. Well, that was the plan at first. After finishing my home, I started building homes for the NPCs. You see, while progressing through the story, you unlock NPCs, and I had to make sure I had enough homes for all of them, because I'll have to get the trophy real estate agent for having every NPC in the game. But after building the first NPC home, I got a message saying that a blood moon was rising, and then tons of enemies started rushing me. So I was basically cooked. I died a few times throughout the night, but I pushed through and received a reward for doing so. Survive a blood moon where the rivers run red and the monsters swarm aplenty. I finished 3 NPC homes and decided to expand upwards, meaning I'll build a second floor, third floor, and so on. That's because I wanted to create a hotel, the Subscribe Hotel. And that reminds me that 0% of people watching this video are actually subscribed. Why not click subscribe? It's free and you can always change your mind later. Anyways, I went back to the caves because my main goal was to reach the bottom of the world. And while I was exploring, I got a trophy I wasn't expecting. Hey, let's go. Travel a total of 26.2 miles on foot. A bit later, I opened the chest and got a suspicious looking eye, which can be used to spawn the first of 18 bosses in the game, the Eye of Cthulhu. And I was confident that I had good enough armor and tools to defeat it. But then this happened instead. I got the boss to only 1/3 of its health left, so it gave me confidence to try again. And I also learned that building an arena is very important for boss fights, so that's what I did. So I started the fight again, but this time I was more prepared. And just a quick note, if you guys are ever confused during these boss fights, especially during some of the crazy boss fights near the end of the game, just remember that my health is at the top right of the screen and the boss's health is at the bottom middle. I took some damage early on, but I stayed focused and took 0 damage for the rest of the fight. Let's go! Anyways, I continued on my goal of reaching to the bottom of the world. This is when I found my first life crystal, which grants me an extra 20 health every time I use one. I'll need 15 life crystals to reach 400 health, which is the max health you can get from life crystals. I kept digging down and eventually I got deep enough where I unlocked the glowing mushroom biome. Here, I got a surprise I wasn't expecting. Hey, let's go trophy. Hey, listen. Encounter a fairy. Guess this is the fairy right here. Anyways, I got to lava level, which means I was almost at the bottom of the world, but I decided to leave this goal for now and start a new goal, which is exploring the surface. I headed towards the right side of the world, and that's when I found the Crimson biome, which is one of the 2 evil biomes in the game. However, only 1 evil biome can spawn per world, and that will become very important later. So I went into the Crimson Caves, which is where I found Crimson Hearts, and after breaking 3 of them, I spawned the second boss of the game, the Brain of Cthulhu.
What is that?
And yeah, I wasn't prepared, so I had to dip out of there. And when I went back, I made sure to build an arena so that it would help me maneuver around the boss. I spawned the boss again, and I'm not even gonna lie to you, I made quick work of the Brain of Cthulhu. Just like that, the brain is defeated. In addition, the boss drops tons of Crimtane ore, which I crafted into Crimtane bars, and with those, I crafted Crimtane armor. But while I was taking off my old armor, I accidentally put them in my social slot, which earned me the trophy fashion statement for equipping armor or vanity clothing in all 3 social slots. When it turned morning, I got a message saying that a goblin army was approaching from the west, and only a minute later, the goblin invasion started. Going into this, I thought I was gonna get destroyed, but it wasn't as hard as I expected. Instead, it was actually pretty satisfying killing all the goblins. Like, just listen to this. So I quickly finished up the goblin invasion, which earned me the trophy Goblin Punter. So I continued my goal of exploring the surface and came across a big desert, and next to it was a jungle, a biome where I'll be spending a lot of time in later on. But first, I wanted to explore my first jungle cave, and while doing so, I accidentally slipped and barely survived the fall damage, which earned me the trophy Lucky Break. I went deeper into the jungle cave and found a beehive. Now this is very important because beehives have larvae, which after being destroyed spawns the third boss of the game, Queen Bee. And I came prepared, so I drank 5 different potions at once, which earned me the trophy Be Prepared. But even with these potions, Queen Bee was way harder than I expected. I can't with this boss! So I continued exploring the jungle caves and found another beehive. I tried my hardest, but I was only able to bring the boss to half health. Oh my gosh, what are these bees? Oh, they're so annoying, man. I came to the conclusion that I didn't have enough good armor and weapons to defeat it yet, so I'll leave the boss for now and we'll go back to it later. So I decided to fight an easier boss, King Slime. Right when I summoned him, he spawned out of nowhere, which caught me by surprise, so I took tons of damage early on. But I used the combination of my gold bow and flaming arrows to absolutely shred him, and in no time, I defeated my third boss. But more importantly, the Slime King dropped a slime hook, which after equipping it, I can now grapple onto platforms and walls, which overall speeds up movement. And one of my biggest issues with fighting Queen Bee was that I couldn't dodge her attacks, so this grapple hook means I'm one step closer to defeating Queen Bee. So I continued my main goal, which again is exploring the surface. While I was exploring it, I found the entrance of a dungeon, but after entering the dungeon, I got one-shotted by the dungeon guardian. This is because the game doesn't want you to access the dungeon until you've defeated the Skeletron boss. And to summon him, you have to talk to the old man at the dungeon entrance at night. So while I was waiting, I built a quick arena and made sure to get all the potions I needed for the fight. And once it turned night, I talked to the old man to spawn the Skeletron boss. Now this boss has a little more health than usual, 4,400 to be exact, and I tried out a few methods to kill it. The first method I tried was using a gun. Even though this may sound good, it barely did any damage and shot so slow that literally my grandma could shoot a gun faster. So this wasn't gonna work, so I had to use my backup plan, using my bow and arrow. My trusty bow and arrow brought me through the fight against King Slime, so I knew it wasn't gonna let me down. And it performed just as I expected and was piercing through the boss. And I made sure to target the boss's hands because they were making me take the most damage. And once I defeated both hands, all that was left was the head, which was a piece of cake. So I used my final method of attack, which is using my sword. And just like that, I defeated the fourth boss. So I entered the dungeon without the dungeon guardian in the way, and in my first chest, I found an Aqua Scepter, which is a weapon that shoots out water. But the thing is, this weapon is way stronger than my bow and sword, which means it's now my primary weapon. I continued searching the dungeon, but I didn't really get much else. So I exited the dungeon and continued traveling towards the right to reach the edges of the world. I went through a snow biome, another desert, another forest, but eventually I reached the beach and ocean, which means I'm now at the edge of the world on the right side. So I did the same thing on the left side. I traversed through the jungle, another crimson biome. It's nighttime, so you can't really see, but I made it to the beach and ocean. Now at this point, I've realized I've gone all the way left, all the way to the right, almost all the way down, but the one thing I'm missing was going up. So I came up with a brilliant plan to build a massive tower to the top of the world to see what's up there. And once I reached to the top of the world, I got a trophy. Let's go into orbit. But I'm not done with the sky yet. There's floating islands spread throughout the sky, which I'm gonna find. And obviously, I'm not just gonna build a giant bridge from one side of the map to the other, because that would take way too long. So I grabbed a gravitational potion, and after drinking one, I was able to control gravity. I traveled across the sky for a solid minute, and ended up finding a floating island, which gave me the trophy, Is This Heaven? After opening a chest on the floating island, I found a Star Fury, and after swinging it, a shooting star fell from the sky. But more importantly, the Star Fury is one of the 10 swords I need to craft the best sword in the game, the Zenith. And when I mean best, I really mean it, because it's able to basically one-shot every boss I fought so far. Anyways, at this point, I didn't really know what to do, so I finished the last floor of the subscribe hotel. And then I remembered that I still haven't defeated Queen Bee from a while ago, and with my new equipment that I've been getting recently, I should be strong enough to defeat it. When I spawned the boss, I accidentally fell in a pool of honey, which is hard to get out because you move very slow. But I eventually got out of the honey, and then realized that my Aqua Scepter is absolutely OP against Queen Bee, because it shreds through her body and destroys any projectiles she shoots. Before, I was struggling with this boss, but now I was able to defeat it in under 60 seconds. And you can tell that I was very surprised by this. Let's go. There's no way. At this point, I was feeling pretty confident, so I decided to fight the next boss, Deerclops. After looking at his stats, I realized that this might be the hardest boss yet because he has 7,000 health, almost 2 times the amount of Skeletron. But what actually happened during the boss fight was that the boss did barely any damage because his attacks were super easy to dodge. And with that, boss number 6 has been defeated. Finish him off. There we go. An eye for an eye. Defeat Deerclops, the chilly one-eyed monstrosity from a foreign land. Next, I went to finish my OG goal, which if you can't remember is reaching the bottom of the world. I was already like 80% of the way to the bottom, so there wasn't much to go. While I was digging down, more and more lava started showing up until I reached hell. This stuff sucks. It's getting hot in here, for sure, bro. Splunk deep enough to reach the molten underground. But then right after I entered hell, I realized that I forgot something back at my base, so I used an ice meteor to teleport back and got a trophy. To hell and back. Oh wow, another trophy. Travel from the surface to underground and back in one fell swoop. I searched the buildings and chests in hell, but I didn't really find anything that good. But then I realized I haven't really reached the bottom of the world yet. So I dug down to the bottom of the world, which earned me a trophy. I know I'm in some... Oh, rock bottom. Reach the deepest of the depths. I continued searching chests in hell, but this time I actually got something good. A superior dark lance. 39? Whoa. And this weapon was definitely going to help me in the next boss fight, the Wall of Flesh. And what's really cool about this boss is that after defeating it, I will unlock hard mode, but I'll explain hard mode after I beat the boss. So to spawn the Wall of Flesh, you need to throw a guide voodoo doll into the lava in hell. I built a big platform to run on because I was going to need a lot of space for this boss. So I finished building the platform and got ready to spawn the boss. But then this happened. No! Okay, he's about to fall in the lava. Okay, he spawned. No, why did he spawn on the left? Now this is a big problem. I thought the boss was going to spawn on the right side of the screen, but I didn't know that there's actually a 50-50 chance of the boss spawning on either the left or the right. So I built all my platforms towards the left, and there were no platforms on the right, which basically means I was cooked. No, I'm dead. I'm so dead. Oh my gosh, bro, he spawned on the wrong side, bro. But anyways, here goes attempt 2 at the boss fight. I'm dead, no! No! And before I start attempt 3 at the boss fight, I created a massive platform so that I can make sure I won't run out of them whichever way the boss spawns. So here goes attempt 3 at the boss fight. Throughout the first half of the boss fight, I was able to take minimal damage from the boss and I got him to under half health. But then everything went wrong when I accidentally fell into the lava, which made me take a lot of damage. But I recovered and I got the boss to under 1,000 health. And then this happened. No! No! He's at 58 health. No! You can tell that I really want to beat this boss, and Terraria is turning out harder than I thought. And now I'm going on to attempt 4 at this boss fight. Like honestly, how is it taking me this long to beat this boss? So I locked in and then this happened. Okay, this time I'm actually beating it. This time is the last time. Let's go! It's hard. Unleash the ancient spirits of light and darkness across the world. So that trophy that I just got was for unlocking hard mode. Hard mode isn't an optional thing, it's mandatory for beating the game and getting the platinum. Pre-hard mode was just a start. Hard mode is completely different to pre-hard mode. There's new enemies which do 3 times more damage, new and more powerful ores, new biomes, tons of stuff. Anyways, I knew I had to get better armor because my current armor is not going to cut it in hard mode. And I was going to get better armor through getting all the new ores. But first, I had to see what new ores I got in my world, so I destroyed 3 different crimson altars, which after doing so, I was told that I unlocked cobalt, mithril, and titanium. And I even unlocked the trophy bulldozer for destroying 10,000 blocks. And these new hard mode ores were set up like a ladder. You gotta start at the bottom and make your way to the top, meaning I just can't skip right to titanium. So I went mining and found a decent amount of cobalt deep into the caves. Anyways, I crafted a cobalt pickaxe, and with that I mined mithril to make a mithril pickaxe, and now I'm able to mine titanium. But for this ore, I wanted to not only craft a titanium pickaxe, I wanted to craft a titanium sword and armor set. And I was gonna need a crap ton of titanium ore, 248 to be precise. So this wasn't gonna be easy. But to be honest, all I did was just mine and mine, because what else is there really to do? Like, I used a few potions to help me, but that's pretty much it. So just like that, I now have a titanium pickaxe, sword, and full armor set. Everything was looking good. I'm fully stacked now. I even crafted my first pair of wings, which earned me a trophy. Hey, head in the clouds. And now I can fly. But eventually all good things come to an end. You see, one thing I didn't know about hard mode is that the Crimson biome grows really fast and takes over other biomes. And for some reason, the Crimson biome somehow managed to travel all the way to my base without me even realizing. This made it so that bad guys would constantly spawn in my base, which means NPCs had to fight them off. And some NPCs even died. But for some reason the NPCs weren't respawning anymore, and I didn't know why. I ended up figuring out that my base is now corrupt because the Crimson has taken over my base. I'm cooked, I'm cooked, I'm cooked, I'm so cooked. I thought maybe there was a way to clean up the Crimson and completely remove it, but I was just getting messages like these in chat. Corey Dog 2. The Crimson is very aggressive. It's hard to stop. Yeah, you're screwed. You rushed through the game too fast. I recommend you start a new world. Take everything valuable and start a new world. So I had a decision to make. I could spend hours fighting off the Crimson, cleaning it up, and praying that nothing goes wrong. Or I could just start a fresh new world with all the items I already have. So yeah, maybe the idea of starting the new world isn't so bad after all. I took all my best stuff and created a new world.
No way he just put in a Naruto reference in there. Sasuke! Naruto! Sharingan.
But this time, I made sure the evil biome was corruption instead of crimson because there's some bosses I have to fight that only spawn in the corruption biome. When I first started my world, I went to work on building the subscribe hotel too. It's similar to the last hotel, but with just a few improvements. But the one big difference that I made was that I dug a 5 block wide, 100 block deep hole on both sides of my base and made sure to build a massive tunnel to connect them. I was trying to copy this image I found on Google. The reason why I dug this is because the corruption can't spread over a 5 block wide gap. Anyways, now that I protected myself from the corruption, it's time to actually go into the corruption because there's a boss I have to fight that can only spawn there. Remember that brain boss that I fought? That is the Crimson boss, and the corruption counterpart is the Eater of Worms. In the Crimson, I spawned the Brain of Cthulhu by destroying 3 Crimson Hearts, and in the corruption, I have to destroy 3 Shadow Orbs. So I destroyed all 3 of them, and the Eater of Worms spawned with a staggering 10,000 health. This is by far the most amount of health a boss has had so far. However, it was super easy to damage the boss, and I was shredding through the boss's health without taking a single damage. And also, this is supposed to be like the second boss fight of the game, so it's meant to be easy. And my favorite part about the boss was it was so satisfying to listen to. Like, just listen to this. And with that, the Eater of Worms was the 8th boss defeated. At this stage of the game, most people would just quickly speedrun the game and unlock hard mode, but before I do that, there's actually a few grinds I should start in pre-hard mode, particularly the trophy armory for getting every armor set in the game. It is highly recommended that you start doing this grind in pre-hard mode because there's about 65 armor sets I'm gonna have to collect. So I made this beautiful room in the basement of my house, which is where I'm gonna be keeping track of my armor collection progress by hanging them up on armor stands. So I started out with the really easy armor sets, such as the different types of wooden armor. This ranged from the basic wooden armor to even having to go back into my old Crimson world to get the Shadewood armor because the Shadewood is only dropped from Crimson trees. I even made some pretty cool looking armor, such as the Cactus armor, which was crafted by 75 cactus. Early on to this grind, there wasn't really anything hard to craft because I've been storing all of my materials in these chests throughout my playthrough. So I had tons of random stuff that I thought I would never need, but it's actually coming in use now. I then refought the Eater of Worms and the Brain of Cthulhu for some materials to craft Shadow and Crimson armor. A few armor sets later, I'm now pretty much done all the pre-hard mode armor sets. And my collection was starting to look pretty cool, I would say. There was a few pre-hard mode armor sets that I was still missing, but those are an entire grind themselves. The second and last grind I started in pre-hard mode was the trophy real estate agent for getting every NPC living in my world. At this point in the game, I have every pre-hard mode NPC except for the Goblin Tinkerer. To get him to spawn, I needed to defeat a Goblin invasion, which I still haven't done yet in my new world. That's because there's a 1 in 3 chance of it to spawn in every Terraria day. These chances may seem good, but I've spent over 25 Terraria days already, and I still haven't had the Goblin invasion to spawn. My first idea was to just wait for it to spawn, and I went AFK for over an hour straight, but it still hasn't spawned. So I had to go to my backup plan, which is manually spawning the invasion myself using a Goblin battle standard. To craft it, you need 5 wood and 10 tattered cloth. The wood is easy, but the tattered cloth is very different. Tattered cloth is dropped by Goblin Scouts, which are a rare enemy that only spawns on the edges of the map. I actually got pretty lucky on finding my first few Goblin Scouts, which I appreciated. A bit later, I went back to my base, and this happened. So I completed the goblin invasion and found the goblin tinkerer NPC in a nearby cave. So that wraps up pre-hard mode, and it's now time to take on hard mode. So I went back down to hell and fought the wall of flesh, but this time it was super easy and I defeated him on the first try. The first thing I did on hard mode was build another deep hole to prevent the corruption from spreading into the jungle, because I needed to spend a lot of time in the jungle. I mentioned earlier that there was a few armor sets that were a complete grind themselves, and I wanted to start the first one, the Angeler armor. To complete this set, I have to complete 20 Angeler quests. An Angeler quest is a random daily quest given by the Angeler NPC where he tells us to catch a specific fish and deliver it to him. It actually took me a whole 3 hours just to learn how to fish, because fishing in Terraria is actually kind of complicated. So I grinded out these quests for a while and it was slowly destroying me mentally. But when I was headed to the next fishing location, I passed through the hollow biome, which has a small chance to spawn a rainbow slime. And just look what happens here. What the hell is that? Hey, let's go! Gelatin World Tour. Defeat every type of slime. At this point, I was almost done with the grind for the Angeler armor, and about an hour of grinding quests later, and I finished my 20th, which means I now have the Angeler armor, and I'm a step closer to the armory trophy. At this point, I was bored of these grinds, and I think so are you guys watching too. So it's time to fight some bosses. There are 3 mechanical bosses, which I'm gonna have to fight, which all give their own separate trophies. So I started with the easiest one out of the 3. The Destroyer. The Destroyer is a worm boss just like the Eater of Worlds, but this time it has 80,000 health, which is the boss with the second most amount of health in the game. So this was going to be a tough fight. The best way to kill this boss is by using the Daedalus Stormbow, which shoots down tons of arrows from the sky, which allows me to hit the Destroyer in multiple locations at once. These attacks I felt like were impossible to dodge. Like, how am I supposed to dodge this? And because of this, I was brought down to just 1 heart and eventually died. So I watched a YouTube video on some tips and tricks on beating this boss because I was ready to fight it again the next night. Watching that video seemed to pay off because I was low-key dodging these attacks like crazy. I might have taken some damage, but not nearly as much as before. Then I got the boss to only half health while I was still at max health, and eventually I took down the Destroyer. Let's go! Walk without rhythm. Dismantle the Destroyer. And with that, half of the bosses in the game are defeated. But these next 2 mechanical bosses are a complete step up in difficulty from the Destroyer. So before I fight those 2, I wanted to practice my skills on a new boss, Queen Slime. Queen Slime is unlike any other boss in the game because she has by far the most chaotic boss fight. And I'll have to practice my skills on this boss because going forward, it's only gonna get crazier from here. Let's go, just desserts. Defeat Queen Slime. With that, the 10th boss is defeated. With that out of the way, it's time to take on my second mechanical boss, Skeletron Prime. Skeletron Prime is just like the OG Skeletron boss, but this time the boss has 5 crazy hands that shoot lasers and constantly attack you, making the boss 10 times harder than the OG version. The first thing I did in this boss fight was aiming to take out the hands because those are the real damage dealers. After struggling at this boss fight for a while, I was finally able to eliminate the first hand, and each time I took one out, the boss became easier and easier, so in no time, all there was left was the head, which was pretty easy to defeat. Let's go, Prime Directive. Shatter Skeletron Prime. Only 1 more mechanical boss until I'm done all of them. With that, the 11th boss has been defeated. Now it's time for the final mechanical boss, the Twins. This boss is similar to the first boss of the game, but this time there's 2 eyes, and they have their own special abilities. This boss has a total of 43,000 HP, a little more than Skeletron Prime. So basically, each eye has their own set of health, and once an eye reaches half health, it transforms into an absolute crash out. My plan was to take out 1 eye at a time, but each eye just kept getting in the way of each other, which caused them to both enter crash out mode at the exact same time. So this is not good. It eventually got to the point where I was down to just 1 heart left. But unfortunately, on my first attempt to the boss, I died with the boss only having a sliver of his health left. But the next night, I was ready to give it another shot. This time, I was really focused on taking out 1 eye at a time. So I was able to turn the first eye to crash out mode really early into the fight. But right before I was able to take out the first eye, the second eye turned into crash out mode. Now I'm in the same position as I was before. Both eyes are in crash out mode and I could feel my hands getting a little sweaty. So will I be able to do it? Let's see what happens. Let's go, double vision. Trouts, the twins. And with that, the 12th boss has been defeated. With all the mechanical bosses now being defeated, a whole new ore just unlocked, Chlorophyte, and I was gonna need tons of it. Chlorophyte is an ore that spawns in the hard mode jungle, and it's somewhat common to find, especially with the help of some potions. But while I was mining, this happened. Oh my gosh. Dead men tell no tales. In just 15 minutes, I mined 600 chlorophyte, which means I was able to craft chlorophyte armor, which was a much needed upgrade from my old titanium armor, and it adds another set of armor to the collection. So to really test this armor, it's time to fight the next boss, Plantera. To spawn Plantera, you have to destroy a Plantera bulb, which spawns in the underground jungle. I ended up finding one after about 10 minutes of searching, and I started digging out in an arena. And while I was digging, I accidentally found a life fruit, which after being used grants 5 health and unlocks an in-game achievement, Get a Life. Honestly, I don't even know why they would name an achievement like that. But what's more important is that I needed to find another 19 life fruits to reach 500 HP, the maximum amount of HP in the game, which would grant me the trophy topped off. Anyways, back to Plantera. Now this boss fight is a little different. I was gonna fight this boss in a way that I haven't done before. The plan was to have 2 teleporters on each side of the arena and both have them hooked up to a lever, so that whenever I spawned the boss fight, I could just teleport to each side of the arena and the boss couldn't do anything about it. But while I was building the contraption, I had to use tons of wires, which earned me this trophy. Hey, let's go, wired up. Place 100 wires. Pretty easy. So I spawned the boss and quickly ran into the teleportation room and started spam shooting Plantera. Once Plantera got somewhat close to the teleporter room, I teleported to the other side of the arena and went back and forth until the boss died. Some people may call this cheating, but I call it being creative and thinking outside the box. So after not too long, Plantera was defeated. Let's go, Plantera is defeated. This means the 13th boss has been defeated. It was at this point when I realized that I was only 2 NPCs away from having every NPC living in my world, which would earn me the trophy Real Estate Agent. The first NPC I was missing was the Truffle NPC, which would only spawn if I built a house in an above ground mushroom biome. What's weird about this is that the mushroom biome only spawned underground, which means I'm gonna have to build my own mushroom biome above the surface. So I went into the underground mushroom biome and grabbed tons of mushrooms and mud. I took all my materials above ground and started building a mushroom floating island house. After not too long, the background changed, which means I've successfully built a mushroom biome above ground. All there was left to do was wait for the Truffle NPC to spawn, which he did after not even 30 seconds. That means there's only one NPC left to get. The Princess NPC spawns when every other NPC in the world is unlocked, which I just finished. All there was left to do was wait for her to spawn. But instead of waiting, I went to go fight the next boss, the Golem. The Golem spawns in the jungle temple, which I found after only a few minutes of searching. And while I was digging around the walls of the temple to find the entrance, this happened. Hey, let's go, Real Estate Agent. Have all possible town NPCs living in your world. Did the princess just move in? Oh yeah, she did, look. I eventually found the entrance of the temple and headed inside. To get to the boss arena, I had to traverse through a maze filled with enemies, and man, these guys did some serious damage. Enough damage for me to reconsider if it's actually worth it going into the temple. And after a bit, I realized that my chlorophyte armor wasn't strong enough for the temple. So the next upgrade was the turtle armor, so that's what I went for. To get turtle armor, I needed 3 turtle shells, so I hunted down some turtles in the underground jungle. After killing turtles for about 30 minutes, I eventually got all 3 turtle shells, which means I was able to craft the turtle armor set. So I went back to the temple for my second visit, and this time it was a lot easier to fight these enemies. And by the way, these enemies have a 1 in 3,333 chance to drop the lizard egg pet, which I'm gonna have to get later for the pet collector trophy, but more on that later. I eventually found the boss arena, and it was packed with enemies. So I cleared out the room, and it was time to fight the golem. A really good trick about this fight is that if you stay at the roof of the arena, the golem can't hit you. So basically this boss becomes very easy, and I was quickly able to defeat him in not even 60 seconds. There we go, the golem is finished. With that, the 14th boss has been defeated. But unlike other bosses, I actually refought the golem a few times because he drops beetle husk, which I can combine with my current turtle armor to craft beetle armor, which is basically a small upgrade to the turtle armor. But the beetle armor is actually the final armor set I'll be keeping for the rest of the video because that's how strong it is. So to really test its strength, the next boss I'll be fighting is Duke Fishron, which is going to be the last boss fight for a while. To spawn this boss, I have to fish in the ocean with a truffle worm. But the thing is, truffle worms are rare and really hard to find. But the one time I actually found the truffle worm, look what happened. What the hell? Another 10 minutes later, I found another truffle worm and headed to the ocean to fight the boss. But before I do that, I built another arena similar to the one where I fought Plantera. You know, the arena with the teleporters and stuff. So I popped a few potions and went fishing in the ocean with the truffle worm, which spawned Duke Fishron. But while I was flying up to my arena, I got stuck, which caused me to take tons of damage. But I eventually reached the teleporter room, and once I teleported, I was in rhythm. So after shooting the boss for 5 minutes, yes, 5 whole minutes, I only reached half health. While I was reaching the end of the fight, I could feel myself getting a little nervous, so I would have the occasional blunder. Oh my gosh. I'm now over 10 minutes into the fight, and I was approaching the end. Most bosses only take like 3 minutes to beat, but this one a whole 10 minutes. Like, I don't even know what to say. And eventually, I defeated the boss. Right here, the last one. Just like that. With that, the 15th boss has been defeated. Now I'm reaching the end of the game, which means I have a choice to make. I could just beat the game and leave all the grinds for last, or I could just start all the grinds right now and leave the final boss for the platinum trophy. So I think I'm gonna go with the second idea. So the first of 2 grinds is the trophy pet collector for finding all the pets. There are 18 pets I need to collect, and some of them made me go crazy. Before going into this, I already had 2 of the pets. When I first defeated Queen Bee, she dropped Nectar, which is a pet that has a 1 in 30 chance to drop from her. And I got the second pet, the tartar sauce, from an iron crate from fishing. So I'm going to start with the easy pets and make my way up to the harder pets. The easiest pets are the ones you can buy from NPCs. So I bought parrot crackers from the pirate NPC, the strange glowing mushroom from the truffle NPC, and lastly the tiki totem from the witch doctor. Next up, I got the 2 boss pets. The first one is the eater's bone, which has a 1 in 30 chance to drop from the eater of worlds boss. So I easily killed the boss a few times, but I didn't get the pet. And after defeating the boss over 7 times, I finally got the pet. And the second boss pet is the seedling. It has a 1 in 20 chance to drop from the Plantera boss. Now this boss was actually pretty annoying because to spawn it, you have to find a Plantera bulb, which is pretty rare. And also only 1 Plantera bulb can spawn per day, so I had to wait a long time in between bosses. But at one point, I found out that if you restart your game after defeating the boss, it will reset the Plantera bulb. So basically, if I kill the boss and I don't get the pet, I can just restart my game. But I might have found this trick a little too late because I've already killed 15 Planteras at this point. And on my first try using this trick, look what happened. Hey, I actually got it. Seedling. I had to kill 16 Planteras. I've been getting pretty lucky so far, but everything was gonna change now that I have to get the pets from fishing. The 2 pets I'll be getting is the fish and the seaweed pets. These 2 pets have a 5% chance to come out of biome crates, but these crates are incredibly rare from fishing, even with the help of angular armor and using potions. So I started out with the fish pet that comes out of the frozen crates, which are obtained through fishing in the snow biome. So I was fishing with all the buffs possible, and I was still only getting a crate once every 5 minutes. So I fished for hours and opened over 40 crates. Remember, there's a 5% chance of the pet dropping from the crate, which means it should only take about 20 crates to find the pet. And at 40 crates, I should have about 2 pets by now, but I've been just getting really unlucky. But this whole time I've been fishing, I've also been killing a lot of enemies, specifically frozen zombies, which have a 0.67% chance to drop a piece of the snow armor set, one of the rarest armor sets in the game. And I was gonna need not 1, but 2 snow armor sets so that I can craft the pink snow armor. So throughout these last few hours, I've gotten a few of each armor piece, which means I was able to craft the normal snow armor and the pink snow armor. So I continued fishing and I've opened about 50 crates at this point with little to no hope left in finding this pet. But after hours of fishing, this happened. Oh my gosh! There's no way I just got it. Oh my gosh. This is taking me way longer than it should have, bro. Way longer than it should have, man. You can tell by my reaction that this has taken me way too long, but it's not over yet, as I'll need to get the second fishing pet, the seaweed, which comes out of jungle crates, which are obtained through fishing in the jungle. I fished for a few hours in the jungle and opened tons of jungle crates, but I didn't get the pet. But I pushed through, and while I was fishing, I accidentally got the zephyr fish, which is a pet that only has a 1 in 800 chance to get caught from fishing. And also only an hour later, I got 2 zephyr fishes almost in a row. I did some math calculations, and I think that's like a 1 in 640,000 chance of that happening. Anyways, another hour of fishing, and I still haven't gotten the seaweed pet. In total, I fished for over 4 hours in the jungle trying to get this pet. Maybe fishing isn't for me in Terraria. And I say that because there's actually another way to find this pet. There's a 1 in 50 chance of the pet coming out of chests in the underground jungle. The odds may be worse, but honestly, I can't do any more fishing or else my brain is literally gonna fry itself. So I searched the underground jungle for a while, opened around 25 chests with no luck of finding the pet. But then this happened. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, the seaweed. Next are the special event pets. This includes Baby Grinch's Mischief Whistle, the Cursed Sapling, the Spider Egg, and the Eye Spring. So I started out by getting the Eye Spring. This pet has a 1 in 50 chance of being dropped from the eyes, which is an enemy found during the Solar Eclipse event. I started the Solar Eclipse and I was praying to find this pet quickly because I didn't want to end up struggling like the fishing pets. But the Terraria gods must have heard me or something because I got the pet only on my second eclipse. Oh, I got it! The next two pets are both related to the Pumpkin Moon event. The first one is the Cursed Sapling, and the second one is the Spider Egg. What's different about this special event compared to past ones is that this event is sort of COD zombie style, meaning there's waves of enemies that get harder and harder the more you progress. And also the chances of the pets dropping from these mini bosses also go up throughout the waves. For example, the Morningwood mini boss has a 1 in 50 chance to drop the Cursed Sapling at the start of the event, but in later waves, like wave 15, there's a 1 in 5 chance. So I played my first Pumpkin Moon and didn't get any pets. But what's more worrying is that I only reached wave 7, which is like nothing. And I had to reach like wave 15 if I wanted to get those good odds. So this time I used some potions, but I still only reached to wave 10. So I came to the conclusion that I needed some better accessories to help me. My current accessories weren't really good and I had to get some better ones. So I started out by crafting the Terra Spark boots, aka a combination of every boot in the game. Thankfully I already had all the materials to craft it, and after crafting it, I got a trophy. Let's go, Boots of the Hero. Obtain the Terra Spark boots forged from the finest boots of fire and ice. Bro, just look at these things, man. So after about an hour of research and getting the right materials, I crafted the best accessories in the game, which is definitely going to help me reach further waves in the Pumpkin Moon. I did some practice runs with my new accessories and got a total of not 1, 2, or 3, but 4 Cursed Saplings. So that means all that's left is a Spider Egg, which is dropped by the Pumpkin mini boss. I continued practicing the event, and eventually I was consistently getting to wave 13 to 14, which should be good enough. I honestly like the fact that this pet actually required skill, unlike luck, because I felt like I was actually making progress. But one more important thing is that the Morningwood mini boss drops Spooky Wood, which is after collecting 750 Spooky Wood, I had enough to craft the final armor set in the game. I've sort of been grinding armor sets in the background for a while, but I can't lie, they're kind of boring, so here's the spooky armor set. Oh my gosh, finally, armory. Collect all the armor sets. This has taken me so long to do, but I'm just so glad it's done now. So I continued grinding the Pumpkin Moon event for about an hour, and then this happened. What? I can't lie, I was just shocked there. I didn't expect the pet to drop. Took me like 55 of these. Next is the final special event pet, Baby Grinch's Mischief Whistle. This pet has a small chance to be dropped from the Ice Queen during a Frost Moon. The Frost Moon is very similar to the Pumpkin Moon, but it's just Christmas themed. So I started the Frost Moon event with already tons of experience from the Pumpkin Moon event. And while I was fighting my first Ice Queen, this happened. Oh my gosh, I actually got it. Now I'm down to just 4 pets left, but these are also the rarest. The easiest one out of the last 4 is a Toy Sled. This pet has a 1 in 20 chance to be dropped from the ice mimics, which only spawn in the underground ice biome. The problem is that the ice mimics are incredibly rare, so I dug out a massive, and I mean massive area to speed up the ice mimic finding process. Just digging out this area took over an hour and thousands of blocks. Now that this area is done, I placed platforms every 15 blocks or so and started farming ice mimics. After about 30 minutes, this happened. Hey, let's go, the toy sled. Just like that. The third last pet is the Lizard Egg. This pet has a 1 in 333,000 chance to be dropped from enemies in the temple. Little did I know, I would be spending the next 7 hours of my life farming these enemies. So I dug out a room similar to the one in the snow biome and just started farming these lizards. One thing about this game is that every 50 times you kill a specific enemy, you get a banner. And as you can see here, I started racking up a lot of banners. This just proves that you guys can't just go in the comments and say I fake these videos. After killing enemies for a total of 7 hours across the span of 2 days, look what happens here. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So I killed 1,976 of these lizards, almost 800 flying snakes. Now the second last pet is the Amber Mosquito. This pet has a 1 in 5,000 chance of being dropped after putting silt or slush in an extractinator. When I was mining out that massive area for the toy sled pet, I gathered tons of slush, which is perfect for this pet. So I started spamming my 4,000 slush blocks into the machine at rapid speed. And I mean, look what happens here. Oh my gosh, I just got it. Oh my gosh. And now the final pet is the Bone Key. This pet isn't even the rarest, it actually has a 100% chance of being dropped. I thought it'd be pretty cool to take down a Dungeon Guardian for the final pet. This fight is unlike no other in the game because the Dungeon Guardian can one-shot me, only takes 1 damage no matter what weapon you use, and has 10,000 health. So this wasn't gonna be an easy fight. So I created a new world because I needed to not have Skeletron defeated or else the Dungeon Guardian won't spawn. So I spawned the boss and quickly ran up to my arena and just barely made it to the teleporter before the Dungeon Guardian got me. me. Going into this, I knew that this was gonna be a long fight, but what I didn't expect was that after 15 minutes of fighting, I still haven't defeated the boss, and it's now daytime. The thing is too, I can't even see how much health this boss has, so I had no idea when I was getting close to defeating it. And after a full 18 minutes of fighting this boss, this happened.
Oh my gosh, finally, man. Finally, I got this bone key, bro.
So I equipped all the different pets in my inventory, and I received the trophy.
There it is, pet collector. Find all the pets.
After spending over 20 hours getting all these pets, I was getting bored of these type of grinds. I needed some action, and the perfect way to solve this problem was to get the trophy Mecha Mayhem for defeating all 3 mechanical bosses at the same time. Fighting each boss at its own was its own challenge, but fighting them all at the same time? I don't know about that. So before the fight started, I popped every potion I had because I knew this was going to be a tough fight. I spawned all 3 bosses and prepared for the worst. At the start of the fight, it was pure chaos. There was so much going on, I didn't even know what I was looking at on my screen. I first targeted the Destroyer, aka the Worm, because he has the most health and he's taking up a lot of the screen. After a bit of fighting, I eventually took down the Destroyer. Next, I was going to target the Twins. So after fighting for about a minute, I eventually took down the Twins, and all there was left to do was take down Skeletron Prime. One thing you might notice is that I'm actually at max health. I didn't even know this, but I was taking literally 0 damage that entire fight. The combination of my accessories and the potions must have been going crazy. Honestly, this battle was actually way easier than I expected.
There we go, Mecha Mayhem. Do a battle against the Twins, the Destroyer, and Skeleton Prime simultaneously and emerge victorious.
Next up is a whole nother grind, the trophy Crafty for using every type of crafting station. But the thing is, this isn't really a grind, but more an easy trophy because I came prepared. You see, I have tons of random items in these chests that I've been collecting throughout my entire playthrough. So I was able to craft almost every single crafting station, and the ones I couldn't, I was able to easily get all the remaining materials that I needed. Most of the stuff I crafted was like random furniture pieces, but one of the crafting stations let me craft letters, and I think you already know what I was gonna craft. Hey man, just subscribe, bro. This video took me like 3 months, bro. Oh my gosh, how is this video actually taking me 3 months? After not too long, I reached the final crafting station, or so I thought.
Wait, why didn't I get the trophy?
After looking back at my footage, I realized that I was dumb and I accidentally missed a crafting station, the dye vat. After realizing my mistake, I crafted the dye vat and crafted something with it.
There we go, Crafty. Use every type of crafting station.
Now it's time for the final thing I have to do before I beat the game and get the platinum. Getting every trophy in the game, except for the trophy Slayer of Worlds, because I wanted to save that trophy for last. Surprisingly, there was actually a lot of random trophies that were super easy to get, so let's rapid fire through them. At this point, I realized that I was only 4 life fruits away from reaching max health, which would earn me the trophy topped off. So I went to the jungle and quickly got the last 4 life fruits that I needed.
Alright, so I'm currently at 480 health, and I just need to use these final 4 life hearts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Topped off the trophy. Attain maximum life and mana possible without accessories or buffs.
Next is the trophy Running Man for running at max speed for a minute straight. So I built a massive platform that ran from one side of the map all the way to the other because running at max speed for a whole minute is actually a big distance. So I finished the build after placing thousands of blocks and started running for a minute straight. Next is the trophy Unusual Survival Strategies for drinking water while drowning. So I went to a small lake and started drowning. Then I drank a bottle of water. A bottle of water.
Let's get it. Unusual survival strategies.
Next is the trophy Blacksmith for crafting 300 items at an anvil. Throughout my playthrough of almost 100 hours at this point, I've only crafted about 120 items at the anvil. Does this mean I'll have to grind for hours to get enough materials to craft another 180 items? No, because it's actually possible to craft an iron bar into 15 chain items. So I crafted 180 chains, which was only about 10 iron bars, and it got the trophy.
There we go, Blacksmith. Craft 300 items at an anvil.
The next trophy is I'm Smelting for smelting 10,000 bars of metal. Throughout my playthrough, I've only smelt about 5,000 bars of metal. And I'm not even gonna lie with y'all, this is the only trophy where I actually cheated. I used a duplication glitch to dupe demonite ore, which I can smelt into demonite bars, which is gonna count towards the 10,000 bars of metal. The guide for this trophy literally says it could take 40 to 50 hours solo, which I wasn't really in the mood of doing after spending already 100 hours in this game. So I smelt 15,000 demonite ore in the furnace, which earned me this trophy.
I'm smelting. Let's go smelt 10,000 bars of metal.
If you guys were in the same situation as me, you guys would have done the same thing. Shortly after this, I found a golden squirrel. This is an incredibly rare critter that has a 1 in 400 chance to spawn in place of a normal squirrel. This is very important because I can use this golden squirrel to craft the golden delight, aka the best food in the game. But even more importantly, crafting the golden delight will give you the trophy Feast of Midas. Next, I wanted to take on my 11th boss, the Empress of Light. Defeating this boss will earn me the trophy Fey Flayer. This boss has 70,000 health, making it the second most amount of health that I fought so far. I gotta say, the Empress of Light is low-key my favorite boss in the entire game because it is filled with tons of color and is low-key beautiful. Also, this boss is very unique because of its attack patterns and just overall the way the boss works is unlike any other boss in the game. Throughout the first half of the boss fight, I was fighting really good and I took 0 damage. Once I got the boss to under half health, it entered phase 2 and started doing these weird attacks like I don't even know what's going on my screen. Unfortunately, this caused me to take a lot of damage. I got the boss to under 5,000 health, which means I was getting near the end. But being only at half health, I felt my hands getting a little sweaty.
So close.
Let's go! Fey Flayer. Defeat the Empress of Light, responsible for all of those flashy lights and glitter. Now there are only 2 trophies left before I'll take on the final boss of the game, and they're both related to each other. For the trophy in the hollow, I have to have 50% of my world hollowed. So the hollow biome is a hard mode biome that has rainbow trees, unicorns, all that type of stuff. The way I was gonna spread the hollow was by using a contaminator. I dug elevators, which are tunnels that go from the top of the world to hell. Then I started shooting the hollow in every direction. Thankfully, my world is a small world, which means I only have to dig about 15 elevators. If my world was a medium or large, I was gonna have to build over 25 to 50 elevators. After about 45 minutes of spreading the hollow, I talked to the Dryad NPC, and she told me that 49% of my world is hollow. And after restarting my game, this happened. There we go, in the hollow. Allow your world to become hollowed. And the final trophy before I have to fight the final boss is Corrupted, for having 50% of my world corrupted. This is literally the exact same thing as the last trophy, but with just a corruption biome. And I already had all the elevators set up, so I was able to spread all the corruption and get the trophy in just 15 minutes. There we go, corruptible. Allow your world to become corrupted, 96% done. You see, there's actually another trophy that I'm missing. The trophy Infinity plus 1 sword for obtaining the Zenith, aka the most OP weapon in the game. The Zenith is a combination of different swords in the game. At this point, I have every sword except for 2 of them because they are only dropped from the Moon Lord, the final boss of the game. So we'll have to leave this trophy for now. To start the actual final phase of the game, we have to defeat a boss, the Lunatic Cultist. This boss spawns at the dungeon entrance, and after starting the boss fight, I was surprised that this boss only has 32,000 health, which is like literally nothing. I actually like this boss a lot because it was like an optical illusion and stuff, which was pretty unique. But of course, with only 32,000 health, this boss was a piece of cake. After defeating it, 4 different pillars spawned across the map, and I was gonna have to defeat all 4 to spawn the Moon Lord. The way these pillars work is that there's a force field around the pillar, which doesn't allow me to damage it. To remove the force field for each pillar, I have to defeat 100 enemies. But each individual pillar was actually harder than the boss I just fought. Once you defeat 100 enemies, each pillar has 20,000 health. So I started out in pillar 1, then pillar 2, then pillar 3, and finally pillar 4. I instantly rushed back home because I have a 2-minute grace period to get all my stuff ready for the Moon Lord. I made sure my inventory was organized, I made sure I had every potion, I was not gonna mess this up. Once I was getting near that 2-minute mark, I drank every potion, and then the Moon Lord spawned.
Oh, there you go, there you go.
The Moon Lord has 145,000 health, the most health that I fought so far by a mile. The Moon Lord has 3 different eyes, one on the left, one on the right, and one above, and I was gonna have to take each one out. During the start of the fight, I was very nervous. I mean, who wouldn't be? It's the final boss of the game. But then I faced a big problem. The Moon Lord's mouth was just like slurping me up. Hey, no diddy. This was preventing me from moving around above, below the Moon Lord, and I was just stuck in the middle. After about a few minutes of swinging my sword, I was able to take down the first eye. Another big problem that I faced was that the eye above me occasionally shot these massive lasers that caused me to take a lot of damage. So I was gonna have to find a way to fix out that problem, but right now I'm focused on taking out the second eye. So about another few minutes later, I took out the second eye. And at this point, the boss is at half health, but so was I. And this has got to be the most cinematic final boss of the game of all time. Just watch this.
Oh, I took damage. This is bad. Ice heart. Heal. I dodged that. Bro, he's going into the floor, bro. I can't hit him. Can this guy's mouth get off me, bro? $15K, 15K, 13, 12. I'm one shot. 100 HP left. For the platinum. There's no way I get it first try. Come on. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I actually defeated him first try. Wait, that's the platinum right there. Slayer of Worlds. Defeat every boss in Terraria. There we go, completionist. Earn all the trophies. Let's go! Wow, I actually can't believe I did it. I fought the Moonlord a few more times to get the swords to craft the Zenith, the most OP weapon in the game, and I got the trophy Infinity +1 sword. This video took me over 200 hours to make and 3 months in total, so please subscribe. If you guys enjoyed this video, you'll definitely enjoy these videos on screen.